Lexi Nate is such a great water skier that she landed herself a Division I scholarship. There's a reason why they call Green Bay Title Town, USA. Yes, the Green Bay Packers play for a Super Bowl title in the regular season, but this year in training camp, they're playing for a WWE belt title. They're back in Milwaukee. The 1982 AL champs are here to celebrate their 35th anniversary. I asked pitcher Raleigh Fingers, who would win, the current team or the 1982 team? After a 2-decade drought, a famous beer will be brewed once again in the city of Milwaukee. This German Methodist church was purchased by the Pabst Brewery Company and will feature many microbrews for Milwaukeeans to enjoy. On 8th Street in downtown Milwaukee, I'm Jordan Gasiorowski. With 1 week left in the first half of the regular season, the Milwaukee Brewers find themselves 2.5 games up on the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. To many, this may be a surprise because nobody thought they would make it this far. For WISN News, I'm Jordan Gasiorowski. The construction for the Bucks Arena is halfway complete and many fans are excited about this stadium here in Milwaukee. This arena, which costs $500 million, will feature many things for Bucks fans to enjoy. In downtown Milwaukee, I'm Jordan Gasiorowski. Thank you, Naomi. I'm joined live by Jessie Garcia, who teaches at UWM. We wanted to ask her a few more questions about election night and Trump's overall victory. Hi, Jessie. Thank you for braving the storm and for being able to make it on the show.
My pleasure, Jordan.
So let me ask you this. So what's your opinion on your students' coverage during the 2016 presidential election?
Well, okay, I'm a little biased, but I thought they just did a fabulous job.
The Badgers aim to have a happy homecoming against Illinois Saturday afternoon. Former Kenosha Tremper product Jazz Peavy is pumped, suiting up at Camp Randall.
Playing here, no, I feel like the energy is, always, pretty big.
And the Admirals with an afternoon overtime thriller against arch rival Chicago. Alex Carrier with the game winner in the extra frame. The Admirals are victorious 5-4. That's sports. We are back after this. It's 5:45 in the morning and my mother is preparing to get her day ready by doing household chores.
Hi, my name is Shannon Gasiorowski. I am a teacher at Kennedy Elementary School in Grafton. I generally get ready. I make sure the house is tidy and clean. I make my husband's lunch and my lunch. Might fold a load of laundry or empty a dishwasher, and then I'm off to school. I usually try to be at school between 6 and 7 in the morning.
To get rid of those morning jitters, she goes to McDonald's and orders a Diet Coke. And then it's off to Kennedy Elementary where she works. At the beginning of her day, she listens to her messages and returns phone calls to parents and other staff members. She waits for students to feel the sound of a quiet classroom and hallway. At 8:19, it's the start of the school day for her students. As the students walk into the classroom, they wake themselves up by dancing to educational songs. And then it's time for counting practice.
There's our set of 5.
And then a reading lesson.
That's what it does. It says this big house has rooms.
At 11:25, the students go to lunch. For some who order hot lunch, they await Chinese food. Also, this means it's lunch duty for my mom.
I often walk around, talk to students, help them if they need help, answer questions, and make sure everyone's focused on eating.
After lunch, her students have playtime. The students test their creativity by building toy vehicles. As the students play, my mother takes each individual student and sits down with them to test on what they have learned so far in kindergarten. Then it's time for every kid's worst nightmare, math.
95.
As the end of the day draws near, a yawn from a student means that it's time to go home. And at 3:20, the students line up for bus pickup after a long day of learning.
Every afternoon I have bus duty. I'm in charge of one bus line. Students line up and I take them to the bus and wish them a good night at home.
Please remember that a good teacher simply explains, but a great teacher inspires hope and ignites a desire to learn in every student. For Media Milwaukee, I'm Jordan Gasiorowski.
Overdose for poisoning with altered LSD 1545.
As a fire truck leaves the station, a sound of a siren would be a common blare you would hear. These paramedics are responding to a growing opioid epidemic that is hitting Milwaukee and other cities nationwide. Drug overdoses in Milwaukee skyrocketed last year as 343 deaths and counting have been reported from the medical examiner's office. Deputy Fire Chief Stephen Reed believes everyone in the city needs to combat this opioid epidemic together.
It's pooling resources, and the fire department isn't going to solve it on their own. The police department isn't going to solve it on their own. The health department isn't going to solve it by themselves. But all of us working together to try to find common ground, to pool our resources and try to help the community as much as we can, that's the key to this whole thing.
The Milwaukee Fire Department looks to combat these numbers as fire trucks and ambulances are prepared and equipped with a life-saving drug called Narcan. I'm here in the back of a Milwaukee paramedic unit. The paramedics are the first ones to respond to an overdose. The drug Narcan reverses the opioid effect on the nerves, essentially preventing the high. The paramedics then administer the Narcan either through IV or the nasal. Narcan prevents the high. While it can do that, its life-saving potential comes from its ability to reverse the effect of opioids on the part of the brain that controls breathing.
Paramedics follow county protocols, and we have protocols for everything. So whether it's trouble breathing, whether it's asthma, diabetes, there's a specific protocol that they follow. So if they identify somebody who is unconscious but still breathing, they go through the algorithm of the protocol, and there are some things in there that identify that, okay, this is a patient that qualifies for the utilization of Narcan.
Narcan isn't only found on paramedic units. Stores around the Milwaukee area like Pick and Save, Metro Market, and Walgreens are considered to be the first stores to sell it over the counter in the state of Wisconsin. Paramedics and officers are required to carry Narcan on them at all times. Reed knows how challenging the job of a paramedic can be.
It tugs at the heartstrings of all of our paramedics and EMTs when they see somebody who is struggling with an addiction, who is using these drugs and not really knowing the significant impact that they're having on themselves and their family.
Hopefully, one day Milwaukee will close its doors on the opioid epidemic. For Media Milwaukee, I'm Jordan Gasiorowski. Every vote counts, but when it comes to the Electoral College, it can be a numbers game. It takes 270 Electoral College votes to win the White House. Here's every state ranked by personal vote power in the world of Electoral College. New York comes in last because there are so many people, the personal vote there is worth the least. It was billed as the Women's March on Washington. Locally, both Madison and Milwaukee held smaller versions. Although crowds were still much larger than expected, our reporters covered it from a variety of angles. First, we turn to Jenna Gadish as she focuses on the older generation of women. The Packers find themselves in third place in the division after yesterday's loss to the Colts at Lambeau Field. One story coming out of yesterday's loss is why Randall Cobb didn't play more in the game. Cobb, who missed the Falcons game because of a hamstring injury, was cleared to play right before kickoff. But the Packers elected not to play Cobb at all in the first half on Sunday. But when the Packers found themselves down 2 touchdowns, they played him in the second half, and it paid off when he caught a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter. That got the Packers within 5 points. Here's Mike McCarthy today on why he didn't play Cobb more yesterday.
Decisions on who's going to play, how they're going to be played.
And here's the squirrel that got national attention yesterday when it ran out onto the field during the Packers game in the third quarter. The referees on the field had to stop play for a while he was running around. Even quarterback Aaron Rodgers referenced the squirrel during his post-game press conference. One of the big surprises of this election was the incredible turnout of rural voters for Trump, many of whom had gone for Democrats in the past. In fact, up and down the Mississippi River Valley, many cities and towns slipped in favor of Trump. We sent reporters to 3 states along the Mississippi to discover why voters in rural areas overwhelmingly voted Republican. Let's begin in Wisconsin. Rural areas of the state saw some of the biggest shifts that led to the Badger State switch from blue to red. Steven Stoyanovich and Jenna Gadish went to Prairie du Chien to find out why. Thank you, Steven and Jenna. Another state that went for Trump was Iowa. So we drove across the mighty Mississippi to find voters in rural areas there. Why did they flip? If they didn't, what did they think of the friends and neighbors who did? We found a quiet river town along the banks of the Mississippi and started asking people for their opinions. Jamie Anderson reports.
In Milwaukee, I'm Jamie Anderson.
The Wisconsin Department of Justice will deploy election integrity teams across the state to make sure nothing interferes with voters, but even regular citizens can stand and observe. Officials say they want to make the process as transparent as possible.
The City of Milwaukee Election Commission
activities.
Milwaukee police also have plans to officers at polling sites tomorrow, reminding people that they can't do any kind of electioneering within 100 feet of the polling location's entrance. Luis and Jamie, back to you. That includes Milwaukee Area Technical College and the Journalism, Advertising, and Media Studies Department at UWM. This has been a joint collaboration looking back on Donald Trump's rise to victory and the public reactions afterwards. Thank you for watching. I'm Jordan Gasiorowski.
I'm Emily Gallagher-Schmitz.
And I'm Naomi Wilson. We hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.